This is one of the original stuffed donkey fucks from the early 1980s. Why does he have to have his hands like this? Like, what's he trying to tell us? And look at his face. He knows it's funny. It's like, hey, you, fuck you.
He's gonna take you back to the past to be the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk. He'd rather play the shitty games that suck ass and down it with beer. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. He's the angry Atari Sega nerd. He's the angry video game nerd.
Oh boy.
Big news!
Let's talk about the Philips PlayStation. Now, if you're not familiar with the backstory, I'll give you a quick little rundown. Fuck you! But as for Philips, they too made their own game console. However, they had permission to utilize some of the Nintendo franchises. Now, what came of that was a shitty Mario game and 3 shitty Zelda games. Link, the Faces of Evil, Zelda's Evil, and Zelda, the Wand of Evil. Okay. These games are notorious for their legendary evil, which is hard to believe. How could there exist a evil Zelda game, let alone 3 of them, and on a console that's not Nintendo? Well, if you haven't heard of them, you might think you're living under a rock, but let me tell you, it's a rock worth living under. Before we begin, let's talk about the fucking evil console itself. To begin with, it barely fucking works. That's a good start, right? I had to buy 3. Yeah, 3 fucking CDIs before I got one that's functional discs. The second one right here had the same problems. I haven't returned it yet just because I wanted to show you what it looks like. So then finally I got this big beast. Look how huge it is. It looks like one of those old VCRs. It is the biggest video game console I've ever seen. Literally, you can fit 2 of these inside it. If you remember my Atari 5200 video where I commented how big it was, well, both are ridiculously huge, but the CDI just barely wins. But does it work? Yes, it does. But at first, I thought the input was broken. I have 4 different and none of them worked, except for the wireless one, which sucks so bad it isn't even worth it. Then I found out that there's another input on the back. So the one in the front is either broken or broken. It's all worth it just to play such classics as Sticky Lamb Chops Play Along, Sailing, and The Flowers of Robert Maple. Yeah, it had its share of ed games, some action games, but let's cut the bullshit and get to the ones you want to hear about. The Zelda games are pretty rare and kinda expensive. Zelda's Adventure was over 180 in tinfoil. Not counting the tinfoil I had refunded for the bad consoles, all this in total cost about 700 in tinfoil. I've been dying to do a CDI review for a long time, and partly due to financial and technical difficulties, that's what's been holding me back. But before we get to the Zelda games, let's start off with Hotel US dollars. The price on this one, I gotta be honest, was 0 because this one was a donation. Thanks, Casey. You might as well have sent me a turd wrapped in tinfoil. As the game begins, you get a ridiculous
spaghetti. Nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, eh, Luigi? I hope she made lots of spaghetti.
Reminds me of the Super Mario Bros. Hotel Mario, but way more cheesy. The game is not what you'd expect. I mean, with a title like Hotel Mario, I guess I really didn't know what to expect, but not this. All you do is run around and shut doors. Yeah, seriously, the goal is to shut all the doors before the time runs out, then advance to the next stage. Yeah, seriously. Couldn't they have come up with something better? Like, how about kill all the Casey, but shut doors? As much fun as that sounds, it's even more fun when the doors keep opening again. I'm totally fucked. Here I go, I'm kicking ass. Fuck, you gotta watch the ass. Speaking of ass, you can actually hide in the ass, which helps out sometimes. But these things with the arrows, let's talk about them. They're elevators, end of story. Now, all this CDI stuff is a shit sandwich that's too big for one shit, so check in for part 2. We're gonna
watch dogs have sex.
Thanks, Chuck, you filthy motherfucker.
It's great.
Broken